All right, we're officially on air, so I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm sure we'll have a few drift in. The traffic is a little bit bad out there, and just a brief description. We're going to open the meeting, and Drew will say a few words, and then we all get settled in. The first thing we'll do is around the table, asking if anyone had a few comments or proposals for something to discuss tonight. And also the other thing, we are on Zoom, and we have a few people out there, and with the crowd as light as it is, we're going to give them a chance to go around the meeting room as well. So welcome to the meeting, and I'll start off again with the Executive Director. Drew Bartlett will make a few comments. Thank you, Drew.
Thanks, Newton, and thanks for your work in pulling us together today. And really appreciate everyone taking the time to come and join us here and share your thoughts. I've asked Dan to look further into the future. He always gives his update on recreation projects and so forth. So he's going to look a little farther into the future on projects we're building that do ultimately will have recreation available at these new projects. So you'll get a flavor of all the things that are on our horizon, although it's not immediate. It's going to be in the future, in addition to everything he normally does. So for those online, thanks for joining. Those here, thanks for driving over and being with us. And I hope you get something out of it. I know we always do. So thank you. Back to you, Newton.
Okay, a few house cleaning things. The meeting is obviously being live streamed and recorded. There will be a public comment all through the meeting. As you know, we run this mostly as a round table. There is no 3-minute limit on conversation or comments, but I have a soft gravel, and I might have to shorten a long presentation. When you speak, down on the button on the speaker so that it shows green light, so you will be recorded, and important to introduce yourself and just say your name because this is recorded, and they like to be able to look back. If you say something of interest, they like to know who that is, and they can find out, particularly if you have a subject or you'd like to have another meeting or something like that. Members of the public on Zoom, use the raise hand feature. If you're using a phone and would like to comment, please press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. If you have any trouble, just go to the website, sfwmd.gov, and click the Ask Us button, and the staff will help you. We always, as I say, except I think twice in 10 years or more, get out here by 8 o'clock, and I don't doubt we'll probably be a little early tonight. So with that, we will start to the left with introductions, please, your name, who you represent, and also if you have a subject or topic you wish even discuss tonight, tell us what it is, because we have the staff here, and we'll make sure we'll get to that, okay? And
good evening, I'm Rich Virgil. I'm the Division Director for Field Operations in the Land Resources section.
Good evening, Rory Feeney, Land Resources Bureau Chief.
Jennifer Reynolds, I'm the Division Director for Ecosystem Restoration.
Michael Weston, a Forestry Resource Administrator. I oversee Picayune Strand State Forest and Ocalacuchee Slough State Forest. I'll be speaking tonight.
James Cavanaugh, Forester with the Florida Forest Service. Serve the Ocalacuchee Slough State Forest.
Kyle Archecki with the Broward Airboat Club. I would like to possibly talk about the boat ramp situation for Area 2B, proposed boat ramp, and then camping around the S8 pump house.
Matt Nelson, Florida Sportsman Conservation Association.
Andrew Burnett, and I'm here to represent the Florida Youth Hunting Program.
Larry Daniels with the Florida Airboat Association.
Larissa Musgrove with FSCA. Richard Martinez with Florida Chapter Backcountry Hunters and Anglers.
I'm Fred Davis with the Florida Trail Association, Loxahatchee Chapter.
Steve Crenoyer with the Florida Paddling Trails Association.
Dorsey DeMaster, Florida Paddling Trails Association.
Yes, I'm Scott Dawson. I'm here to represent the Grassy Island Trail in Okeechobee.
Emily Johnson, I'm with the District's Office of Counsel.
Marshall Davis, South Florida Water Management Rec Specialist.
Mike Cheek, Public Use and Recreation with the district.
Good evening. I'm Justin Nolte, Section Administrator for the District's Land Stewardship Section. I just want to welcome Marshall. He's our new rec specialist. You'll be seeing a lot of them out there.
Dan Cotter, Section Leader for the Public Use Unit under the Land Resources Bureau.
Good evening. My name is Wildad Solomon, Deputy District Clerk.
The gentleman walked in. Would you like to introduce yourself? No.
I'm Jamie Millett, Lake Okeechobee Association of Airboaters.
Okay, thank you very much. Give Zoom people a chance if anyone wanted to wave your hand, raise your hand.
Robert, please unmute your mic.
Yes, Bob Himshoot. I'm just interested in listening to the presentation tonight.
Thank you. User ending in 3996, please unmute your mic.
Hey, good evening. This is Zach Welch. I'm with the South Florida Water Management District. I work on Lake Okeechobee. I'm just listening in if there are any questions. Thanks.
Okay, I think that looks like everyone on Zoom. Oh, one more.
Hello, John Monty, please unmute your mic.
Hey, Newton, it's John Monty. I just came on here to discuss a few issues that have been brought to my attention about the A1 Fed.
John, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we'll move right into the agenda. Okalachee Slough Wildlife Management Area, Michael Weston, Forestry Resource Administrator, Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Michael, welcome to the party. I just spent a couple of nights up at the training center not too long ago for the Wounded Warrior hunts, and it was a great time.
All right, very good. Do I still go up there? Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. Again, Michael Weston, Florida Forest Service, Forestry Resource Administrator. And tonight we're going to be talking about Calcoochee Slough State Forest and the Calcoochee Slough Wildlife Management Area. So real briefly before I get into the presentation, up until probably about 5-6 years ago, Calcoochee Slough, the WMA, was mainly consisted of Calcoochee Slough State Forest, and there was a small piece that was managed by Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Since then, they've purchased like 4 million acres next to us. No, not that much, but they're actually bigger than the state forest now. So I think they manage something like 40,000 acres alongside our just about 33,000. So gets a little confusing, but we've managed really well with them. So overview of the forest itself. So Calcoochee Slough State Forest, comprised of 32,349 acres, located in southwest Henry County, northeast Collier, approximately 6 miles north of Immokalee and 12 miles southeast of LaBelle. When people ask where it's at, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere in Henry County. Acquired as part of the Save Our Rivers Program, Conservation Recreation Lands, Carl Program and Preservation 2000. primarily for ecological, hydrological, you can read wildlife habitat protection, et cetera. And really a nice piece of property. Got everything from slough, music, wet flatwoods, depression marshes. We share a boundary to our east with Dinner Island, WMA. Boundaries to our north and then east with Calcoochee Slough, WMA, and to the west, Spirit of the Wild, WMA, along with some various private ranch parcels that are still out there. So how do we manage it? And we practice with the Florida Forest Service multiple use management, and defined as the harmonious and coordinated management of timber, recreation, conservation of fish, forage, archaeological and historic sites, and other resources, plus the water. And for this property, actually, there's about 4 or 5 sections. They're actually owned by South Florida Water Management. They're leased to the Forest Service that we manage. Those are parcels that are in Collier County, and we cooperate with them. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but it's been a really good partnership. And again, talking about partners, so obviously the WMA is, we're the lead manager on the forest side, but we do partner extensively with the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. They actually have their check station on our tract, and I already talked about the adjacent properties that are around it. Also South Florida Water Management District, Hendrick Glades Audubon, and also neighboring landowners. So multiple use, what does multiple use mean? That means we try and get the most out of everything, but also balancing it. So, we're looking to have the land do what it can do, maximize what it can do, but we're not trying to necessarily put it back into anything, in 100, 200 some years ago, just trying to manage it for what it is. And those are all those things we've already talked about. So everything from forest management, we actually do have some forest management on this property, but all the way to protection of water resources and habitat restoration. One of the big things here, so we've managed the property since 1999, and since then we've planted approximately 3,000 acres of South Florida slash pine. Picture in the upper right, they're actually roller chopping, doing some mid-story management. The fun part about the slough, because we don't bed any of the rows, is the brush grows just about as fast as the trees do for the first 8 years. So we typically have to go in once or twice and do some underbrushing. It does help to increase the opportunities for hunting in those areas. And again, that's that significant understory competition. And we also, every year, disc about anywhere from 60 to 90 miles of fire lines in the forest. Here's what the forest habitat types look like. That blue in the center, that's the slough. So the kind of the left-hand portion flowing through, that's the Calcoochee Slough. That's the namesake of the forest. But beyond that, we have about 1,000 acres of dome swamp and cypress. So that's kind of one of those lesser-known things out there. And again, the property's in really good shape. It's a wet forest. Right now, after Hurricane Milton came through, we had every one of our roads closed, every one of the campgrounds, because water was basically over every road. So the walk-in entrances were open, but to try and preserve the quality and the functionality of the roads, we had them closed for about a week, and then since been reopening them to get folks back in there. And really along those wet forest areas, there's slivers of upland that really extend into the forest, and that's where the road network is focused on. That's a road network we took over from Alico, the previous landowner, and we've improved, I think, about 60 miles of road in there to be secondary. So they can be overtopped, but we have them improved, so eventually we can take timber out, but it really does improve the recreation access in the forest. And the big thing, here's a picture on the right, area along some of the horse trails. I was doing timber inventory a couple of years ago, came across just some huge laurel oaks, good mass trees, and also some pop ash ponds. And actually we've got a lot of tropical hardwood hammock out there, so you come across big gumbo limbos, et cetera, way out in the frost belt. Again, that's because the property didn't lose its water, unlike Picayune Strand. Again, single ownership for the most part in the past, so Alico. We've made a lot of our purchases from them, but there have been some other partners, private landowners, et cetera. And non-invasive plants, because we haven't lost the water, They weren't too bad. Actually, guava was actually one of the bad ones for a while. 'Cause it was planted out there and had escaped. So here's our recreation. Map's a little small, but we have 3 campgrounds. So Panther Pond Campground. I don't know if the cursor, oh, there we go. Sorry, there's a cursor. Panther Pond Campground. It's located, so the western part of the forest along 832 that bisects it. We've got a boardwalk trail over there. And this is actually the old railroad tram that came through here with the Atlantic coastline. It was pulled up in the 80s, early 90s. But far part of the forest, you go over there, got 3 campgrounds. Panther Pond Campground, 16 primitive campsites. Overflow Campground, that's something we've improved in the last 3 years. I'll have some pictures of that. That's 6 primitive sites that accommodate RVs, travel trailers, etc. And then we've got a hunt camp down near where we have horse paddocks. There's 6 sites there. 5 can accommodate travel trailers and RVs, and 1 can do a few tents on it. So, but again, just reading through here, 60 miles of equestrian trails, a mix of road riding and trail riding, but 2 really nice spurs. Twin Mills hiking trail, so that you can go visit the old sawdust pile from one of Alico's mills, or when it was out here. And again, very, very wet. So this wouldn't be one where, Christmas time is probably not the one to bring the northern family down to. So unless you want them to never visit you again. So again, very wet. It usually dries out for really good recreation in January and February. Rooney Island Trail down here just goes out to some oak hammocks. Again, pretty wet. And we do have a mountain bike trail, 3.1 miles, looping back and forth. That one dries out about February or March. And 2 pretty big parking sites, one over on Tram Loop Trail over here, and got a little pavilion there. Also the Patterson Road, there's a big. But again, all of our sites off 832 have walkthroughs in on them, and you can walk in, and we really try and hold open gates as aggressive as we can to try and get hunters in there. We're also working with FWC because they've purchased, or they've gotten a lot of this property over in here, as far as seeing what we can do to help provide access back in there. And I think they're still, I don't know the status of their 10-year plan, but that's one of our big news things, is we were working on a new 10-year land management plan for approval in 2025. So we have a public hearing coming up November 19th, and that'll be at the Dallas B. Townsend Agriculture Center in LaBelle for 10:30 a.m. for that public input meeting. So if you want to come out and have input on the forest, that'd be very welcome. Again, what do we have exactly? So we do have off of Patterson Road, there's a 40-acre dog training area. And come out and help us really have a better vision for what we do with this area. All the people that train dogs that used to work for us don't work for us anymore. So, and I'm not a bird dog training expert. So if you want to come and be part of that, we'd welcome that insight and input. That was put in about 10 years ago. Again, Panther Pond Campground, picture, really gorgeous, really gets good reviews. 15 campsites spread out, but you're within an area. There's porta potties and a dumpster there. The hunt camp, so this is down a little bit further, so about 3.5 miles off of State Road, or County Road 832, and 5 primitive campsites, 1 primitive tent site, and a porta potty. Here you can see the picture of that site 1, probably the best site there. So if you reserve it, site 1's your best one. Overflow camp. So this was pre-COVID times. This was an open grassy field that we'd mow, and then people would come and camp out in it, and then everyone would get stuck. So didn't seem like a good sustainable feature. So we were able to get secure material, put down some geocloth, and put 57 rock over it, and have some timbers on the side to keep that in place. But they're each 25 by 50 foot camping pads with a fire ring and picnic table. And 3 of the sites have small tent pads in the back with pea gravel. It's a little easier, more comfortable to pitch a tent. Site 5, if you're keeping track, that's the best one here. It's got an oak tree for shade. And the one gem in the forest, really off the beaten path. There's not a porta potty here, but it's the Wild Cow Group Camp. You have to drive about 2.5 miles on a road. You need 4-wheel drive most of the year, but it's this site here. There's a non-potable well there, 2 sleeping pads, 2 picnic tables, and really quiet, really out of the way. You're right on the edge of the slough. So we do close that during quota hunts. There was some concern years ago about people shooting at the campers, so we took that to heart and said we can help safeguard that. So again, here's the bike trail, and the whole forest. Really, a lot of people like biking the roads, so it's a really good experience. We're just riding the roads. The Tram Loop Trail, a little bit lesser known. Here's one of the old trestles or bridges that it's on the old right of way. And there's a picture of the kiosk, and then this is probably the better picture. So when it's super flooded, this is always dry because the railroad obviously built it out of the floodway, and shaded, sunny. You can see a lot of different things. So sort of like you're kind of having a trail outside of the water. And then here's our view from our boardwalk trail. So it's a 8th mile trail, leads to a 800-foot boardwalk that looks out over the slough, and we've got some educational signage there. So really called a learning adventure, but quite popular. This just goes into the paddocks. We're looking for horse groups, so we've not been as successful in attracting a horse group. Kind of in the middle of the state. A lot of people have their own property they can ride horses on, but if you got a horse group that can't find a home, et cetera, come talk to us. We'll make it worth your while. But there's the trailhead down there, and there's 4 covered paddocks. We're actually adding 4 more. So, and this is what a 70-year-old sawdust pile looks like. So there's some sawdust. We do spray it from time to time, keep the invasive weeds down. But again, this is a lot of the trail leading into it. Very, very wet. And again, nature driving, fairly popular. The forest overall receives about anywhere from 18 to 30,000 visitors a year, and so very lightly visited. Again, there's lots of other public lands around it, and a good place to go. And again, we do a lot of forest education. Coming up November 16th at Picayune Strand at our campground down there. We're going to have our festival in the forest down there, so a good time. Should be about 10 or 12 folks. We're going to start off at 10 a.m. with a fun run, so if you guys want to pre-commit to your New Year's resolutions, you can do that. That's free. We'll have some guided hikes and guided bike rides as well. So, and one of the big things we're pushing right now is trying to get folks emails for a recreation newsletter, push that out, and kind of have direct communication with folks. Learn about what they do better, and kind of our nonprofit, Florida State Forests, or Friends of Florida State Forests, become a member there. But this was us in LaBelle Nature Park a few years ago, talking to, I think over like 4 days, we talked to like 800 kids, so in 10-minute bursts. So by the end, you don't know how to really speak English anymore. So we start speaking this foreign language that you learned years ago. So there's my contact information. Can welcome any questions, comments. Again, it's very undervisited, I would say. Hunting is very hard from what I hear out there. Not a lot of open shooting lanes, et cetera, but definitely worth visiting if you're not a hunter as well. And let us know. We'll kind of give you the places to go that time of year. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We'll go to public comments here in a second. A quick question. The 10-year planning meeting on November the 19th, I'll be honest, I haven't seen it, notice of it. And how do you publicize that meeting?
So for that, we'll have, we did announce it at the county commission board meetings, but then also we've got some newspaper advertisements coming out, I think starting in the next couple of days for that. And then also we posted it in the kiosks.
Well, I just, a I'll give you my card, and if you'll send me a notice of it, I can see that it gets around. And the other question is on the newsletter. That's also an interesting point. And I'd like to get on that list somehow. And I have a feeling that the public, getting out to the public is very important. And I know you guys want to do that. And you have a lot of places within this group to see to it gets out. So with that, we'll start on the left here. Any questions for Mike or any comments about this presentation? And we'll just follow around. Just raise your hand, introduce yourself, and we'll see. Anyone on this side of the table? No questions? Anybody on the right-hand side of the table? Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. Is that a in-person meeting on the 19th, or is there virtual?
It's going to be in person. They weren't able to do virtual for it, so in person only.
Fred, a lot of hiking out there. Anybody else? Okay, well, we're ready to look at Zoom. On Zoom and has a comment or a question, now at the time.
Yes, Mr. Cook, we'll hear from Robert. Robert, please unmute your mic.
Thank you. Having been a former leaseholder on part of that Alico land for hunting for many years, what is the acreage and what's the limitations on hunting in that particular area, on the Okaloochee Slough area? We're on the east side of Twin Mills Grade and the north of 832.
So the section you're talking about there, that would be managed by the FWC as the lead over there. And again, I know Ryder Hawkmuth, the lead biologist, he's been working on their 10-year plan and access, et cetera, given it's a more recent acquisition.
So, I mean, it's not available for hunting at this point, or?
No, my understanding, it is available for hunting, and they do realize that there's some access issues going in there for how they need to manage the land, and they're actively working on those. And we're cooperating with them as far as giving them options of using our existing road network to put in entrances off of to make it easier for the public to access.
Okay, so it's Forest Service land or FWC. I mean, I guess I'm having a problem understanding which agency is taking the lead on it.
So the piece you're talking about that's east of Twin Mills and north of 832, that'd be FWC lead for the OK Slough WMA.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you. It's a good piece of property.
We don't have any raised hands.
Okay, that seems to be it. Bishop, I see you walk in. Did you have anything on it? You okay? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Mike, very much. Appreciate it very, very much. And I would appreciate getting on that list, okay? All right, next up is the Grassy Island Bike Club. Scott Dawson, Grassy Island Trail Coordinator. And Scott, look forward to your presentation.
All righty, my name's Scott Dawson. I live out in Okeechobee. Just give you a quick little backstory on our trail out there. It's listed as a bike trail, but it's a bike trail for hikers, bicycle people. There's a perimeter trail that's for horse people. So we got a little bit of everything out there. I'd say about 10 to 11 years ago, I had approached the county commissioners about getting access to a little piece of property just east of our agriculture center to put in a bicycle trail, not a paved trail, off-road. It was a small piece and stays wet a lot. Gary Ritter had gotten wind of it. Gary Ritter was with South Florida Water Management for years. He's since retired. He approached me and let me know of a piece of property just north of town. And we got on Google Maps, took a look at it, and it was way more than I could ever ask for. So we went out there. I spoke with a couple people from over here, Dan and Justin had come on a little bit later, and we went out there, kind of mapped it out, dropped some GPS pins, made a presentation, got the green light. Fast forward till now. Gets a ton of usage, and let me just go down my list here. Just wanted to give you the history on it. It's located there in Okeechobee. It's just north of town up on Hillier Road. The piece that we use, I think, is around 600 acres, if I'm not mistaken. Does that sound about right? It's heavily wooded. We try to keep the trail inside under canopy. It draws a lot of people because of that. So we get people from not just Okeechobee. We get people from all over the state. We get people from out of state, a lot of times while they're on vacation. How do they find it? They find it a couple different ways. We have a Facebook page, but there's also some apps that people can use. One of them's called Trail Forks, and the other one's called Single Tracks. We uploaded information there. You can use it, a GPS. It's a wayfinding system to find the trail. It gives ratings on it. Kind of helps you find your way around the trail. It gets a lot of good reviews. When we initially made the trail, some bike trails can be pretty challenging. We didn't want that. We wanted something that anybody could use. We felt it was best for everybody and a lot safer. One of our current challenges right now, and I think this is pretty much everywhere in Florida, is we're wet. So we haven't been out there much here lately. This is common. During the wet season and hurricane season, it gets too wet for us. So we kind of stay off the trail. The horse people can still use it. It's not a problem for them. Hikers and bikers, nobody really wants to wander around in the water. Plus it ruts up the trails. Good thing is when it does, the rain lets up, it dries quick. So then we get back in there, clean the trail up, and start getting a lot of usage on it. Here's some benefits that a lot of people don't take into consideration. It's good for, it provides a safe, accessible environment for people of all ages, abilities to engage in physical activities such as hiking, biking, horseback riding, nature walks, and just overall a healthier lifestyle. It does encourage tourism to our little town. We have had people I've ran into people from Colorado out there, Michigan, way out west, horseback riders. We all get along really good. Part of the reason we put a perimeter trail for the horses, so that way we don't have a bicyclist coming around a corner and meeting up with a horse rider. So they both have their own trail. It's a lot safer, and everybody seems to like that. Going out to the trail offers a lot of opportunities to raise awareness about Florida's unique ecosystems and conservation efforts, encouraging a greater understanding of our resources. We've got all kinds of trees out there, all kinds of plants. We've got wild oranges out there. Sometimes when I'm out there working trail, I'll start getting a little hungry. I'll just go over and get me a couple of those oranges. Another thing is it's a activity that's quiet. It doesn't really have any impact on the land. So we want to go in, use the land, not leave big footprints. It's always there for us. Like I said, we get riders of all ages. The people to the left there, it's a it's a mother and her son. Phyllis was a very active member of the helping us build the trails. She has since passed away. We truly do miss her. The family to the right there, that's our chief of police and his kids. Donald's been a very active member in helping us build trail out there. Let's see if I can get over to this next image. These shots here are from some YouTube videos. There's actually quite a few YouTube videos online about the trail. I occasionally will go on there and search them. They always get good reviews, which also helps people find the trail too, because they'll just start searching trails on YouTube, and even if they don't use the apps, it helps them get there. We have these signs at the gates that's maintained by volunteers. Whenever we put a work day up, we usually get a small handful of people. We have since partnered up with a bike club out of Fort Pierce that is over 500 members strong. So our next work day, I anticipate we'll have quite a few people out there to help us with that. When the storms come through, we do get a lot of debris on the trail, but it's relatively easy to clean up and get back in shape. Literally, if we had 10 people, we can get it back in shape in about 6 hours. The trail's about 5.5 miles long from the parking lot all the way out, and then back to the parking lot. We put wayfinding signs out there, and they're at all the intersections. We've color-coded the trail. So if somebody were to get out there, get turned around, anytime they come to an intersection, if they just look at that, it's an easy way to, find your way out. We also put these orange tags on the trail. You can see on the bottom of that sign there, we put these orange tags up. So there's always, at any time when you see one, you can look through the trail and see the next one. So even if the trail's a little rough, you know you're on the right track. I want to say about 5 years ago, we had the International Mountain Biking Association come out and ride the trail, gave us a really good rating on it. They thought the trail had been in existence a lot longer than it had been, just because it was in really good shape. We've had a couple large horseback groups meet up out there for rides during the day. Once again, we've always had good feedback, run into them into the parking lot, and we always get a lot of praise from them. And we do have horse people that come out and help take care of the trail as well. The perimeter trail, we have markings up there for them as well, so that way they can, stay on track too. I feel that Grassy Island Trail represents a valuable asset to my community, promoting health, tourism, and environmental stewardship. Continued access to this property and trails are essential for maintaining its positive impact on the local community, outdoor enthusiasts, and a broader public. We've talked about trying to find some ways to address the challenges of the land being wet for extended periods of time. Unfortunately, I would think just Mother Nature is going to have to take care of that for us out there. The water does shed. It sheds to the east, I believe, or to Taylor Creek. It's pretty quick, though, so we're patient with it. This is one of the group rides we had that day about a year ago. And on their behalf, I just want to say thank you. Water management's been great to work with. They've gave us permission to use that land out there. We do our best to keep it safe, keep it clean. We go out there, and if we see somebody's left debris behind, we go pick it up. We just want the place to be nice. We want it to be good place for everybody to go recreate, whether you're hiking, biking, or just want to go hang out. We put picnic tables up out there, and sometimes I just go out there and find people with their laptops out there in the woods working. Matter of fact, we do have one guy that goes out there pretty regularly. He has an online job, so he goes out there to work. That's about it. Does anybody have any questions?
All right, Scott, thank you very much. A couple of things. First of all, that's the hidden gem. It is one of those places that, as he said, you had 500 members. And if a lot of people knew about it, I think you'd have a lot more than 500 members because it's a beautiful place. The other question, just quick before I forget, is what about the big move to electric bikes now? Is electric bikes allowed on this area? Or do you wish I hadn't brought up the subject?
Yes, we do use them out there. We keep a close eye on that. There's 3 levels of electric bicycles. You have what's called pedal assist. It doesn't go anywhere unless you pedal, but it helps you. Then you have, I think that's called a class 1, and then something in between. Then class 3 is literally an electric motorcycle. No, don't need those out there. They're too fast. They're literally like riding a dirt bike on the trail. It's going to turn up the soil and probably do more damage than it does good.
Of course, those of us who hunt, it's become quite an issue on the wildlife management areas and stuff because people like me who did bike at one time and got too old to do it, it's opened up areas and caused conflict because it's obviously made it a lot easier for people to go, as we say, in the bike. And it's an issue that's going to be discussed more and more as it get more popular. That's all I have, but I want to start again and give everyone an opportunity here, starting on the left. Anybody would like to have some questions about the area? Bishop?
It is a great trail. Been on it. So, but I got one question. The Grassy Island sign that you had in the front picture, is it still around?
I don't know because that's where the new office is being built, and I don't know if that's up there. We didn't.
Oh,
put that up.
it's not where it used to be, and that that road and all that. I was out there this weekend, but I'd like to maybe see if that sign could be found and restored, maybe put over by your bike trail because it probably goes back a long time, and it's pretty unique to have out there.
Yeah, we that sign has been up there before we started. That was the one where you turn off of 441 onto Hillier Road. And I can go up there and look around. I mean, I know it was up there until they started building right there, so maybe one of the contractors took it down or something like that. But absolute worst case scenario, we could probably own a sign company.
Yeah, I was out there this weekend. I looked around. I did not see it. And then when I seen you post it, I was hoping maybe you moved it over there by your entryway or something. But it would be nice if we could find that and make sure it's restored somewhere. It'd be perfect somewhere over your little bike trail thing there. At least it got restored.
Just real quick to address the electric bikes, because that has been a topic. And the bikes that I think that you're referring to that the hunters use, those are to get your game back out of the woods or get to your camp. That's not like a fast, aggressive type bike. I mean, those are pretty safe in my opinion.
As I say, it's become a topic of discussion, and I knew it would be a topic in your area too. What do you do, right? I mean, people want access. And electric is theoretically kind of the golden child right now. Sure. And then the next thing you know, obviously, the people want to say, well, we can ride electric, how come we can't? So it's going to be an issue that we're all going to face. Bishop?
If it's pedal assist, I don't know why, there's only one reason why anybody's got any problem with it. It's called jealousy, and that's one of hunters' biggest problems is jealousy. They're always worried about the other guy having an advantage. And as for his bike trail, you know, the pedal assist bikes gives people opportunity, especially someone of us older guys, Newton, a chance to go out and enjoy the woods and enjoy something that you wouldn't have the energy or power to do otherwise without a little bit of assist. And I don't really see where they cause any more problem than a regular bike. It's just a matter of the fact that someone can't afford one and the other guy can. And that's really what in my opinion, what it's all about. And of course, it's my opinion, and I own 2 of them. And I said this at this meeting before. Anybody would ever like to go for a ride on one, I'll take you and we'll go for a ride. It's all legal with what I do. So be glad to take you and show you what it's all about. It does take energy out of you. It takes a little bit of effort. It's not like riding around on a motorcycle. So that's, you know, just so everybody leaves this room with the right perspective of an electric bike.
Thank you, Bishop. Yes.
Hey, Scott, yeah, I just want to thank you and the club for all the work y'all have put in on that. You know, I live in Okeechobee also, and it's an asset out there. That and our the Taylor Creek STA, so Grassy Island it's just a gem that we have, and it's much needed in Okeechobee. And Bishop, it's probably the high school kids. They stole it all. Now, when they're moving in, the FFA, I believe they put that sign up, and we'll look into that and see if we can find that sign.
I appreciate it. It's a piece of history of the place. I don't even know how old that sign goes back, but as you know, the youth hunting program's been out there for, what, over 10 years, I think. And we were out there before the bike people, and, you know, I got pictures of that sign in a lot of my picture albums, but so I just would like to see it restored somewhere. And I know with the new configuration of the road and everything, it's right where it was. That I do know.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, Dan?
Hey, Scott, I just wanted to thank you. Like Justin said, you know, a lot of these trails, you know, we have the land, but we really rely on volunteers to have, you know, all the trail system we do, whether it's a group like yours, Florida Trail Association, equestrian groups, of course, the sportsmen help us with all kinds of things. And so when Scott and his group put that in about 10 years ago, right then he invited us out, and about 2 or 3 of us went out there. He brought bikes out, like real bikes for mountain biking. And it is a gem. So I'd recommend anybody, you know, who'd like to try something like that. It's probably one of the best. We have a lot of biking on district lands, but probably one of the best bike trails we have. Thanks.
Anyone else in the room before we see about Zoom? Will there anyone on Zoom?
No, Mr. Kirk, there are no raised hands.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Scott. It's a great presentation and a beautiful place, and definitely wet. All right. All right, now we come to an interesting part of the program, and this is where nearly always it's a lot of good news from the Water Management District about the opportunities, new and changing opportunities, improvements on recreation on South Florida Water Management District land. And I remind everyone, this property started in Orlando, and they run more or less down to the trail. And there's well over 600,000 acres open to the public. And if you add up the water, it's probably a couple of million acres out there that are constantly being accessed by the public for recreation of all types, hiking, biking, camping, fishing, hunting, and my favorite, of course, the stargazers. And it's very much appreciated how cooperative the district has been over many, many years. And so every time that Dan gets up at this meeting, it's always a lot of good news, I hope. Dan? Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Dan Cotter with the district section leader over the public use and wildlife unit. Yeah, I've got a lot on this presentation. A lot of, as Newton said, a lot of good news, a lot of stuff that's upcoming. Also some informational stuff, probably the not so good news about just some temporary closures, which we always have just due to construction, and we try to work around those as quickly as we can. So I'll go through this. There's a lot here. Newton said everything pretty much throughout the entire district. Before I start, I just wanted to mention, do a recap of how the district response was to Hurricane Helene and Milton. This is just really from the lands and the public use standpoint. During Helene, we had a temporary closure from September 25th at 8 p.m. and then reopened September 27th at 6 p.m. And then with Hurricane Milton, same thing, had a temporary closure that was October 8th at 6 and reopened at on October 11th, 6 a.m. And it was really great. A lot of staff like Marshall were out there right away when the all clear was given, and we tried to open the lands up as quickly as possible. Both of those were open Friday morning, so it allowed for weekend use and particularly some of the quota hunts that were going on. Okay, and I've got quite a few things too that you've maybe seen before or we were in the works with. One is down in Miami-Dade County, the Rocky Glades public small game hunting area. If you were at the previous couple meetings, you may have heard that the governing board approved the establishment of adding more acreage, expanding that area, and it's pretty substantial expansion. It just about is now double in size from the current little over 5,000 acres to now adding an additional almost 5,600 acres. And so that brings it over 10,000 acres. That'll be one established area. And it helps with us too with, all having the same exact rules on there, but it expands the hunting area and the public use substantially. We're working right now with FWC. I know they weren't able to make it here. Cheyenne is online, but I've been working with her, me and our staff, and we should have a new FWC map out, an established area real soon here. So that's something to look forward to down there. And we're going to, I don't have that in the other, any of the other slides, but we're going to work on trying to provide additional access. And we've got some good access down south, but and some walk-in access off of 168th Street, but we look to creating a new parking lot there too to provide better access into this area. Okay, these next few slides are some of just more of the info. We get a lot of questions, emails, calls about closures. I know John Monte's, I think, on. He asked me several times about certain areas, particularly the A1 FEB. So this is one STA 1 East. There's construction going on that'll take place till spring, right now, spring of 2026. And if you see that red line along the top and the north levee there, that star represents the access to 1 East, the weekend access. That is still open to the public, and the same with STA 1 West. And if you haven't before, you can do a bike ride from 1 East all the way over on the top of the refuge over to 1 West. All still open. The contractor is working around that, but they have a lot of haul routes down here within the STA currently taking place. And they just asked, kind of get that out to the public. We have people that are, going past the signs or gates and traveling south and getting in, into where this haul route is, and we certainly want everyone to be safe out there. So yeah, if you can please just stay on the trail, particularly during this construction period. Okay, this is A1 FEB, which I was just mentioning before. Get a lot of questions about this. Okay, the levee closure, that's right now on the northwest and then the entire western levee. So I just wanted to kind of give you an update on that. You know, the Northwest Levee closure is going to take place upwards to about 10 years, and I'm going to have a slide or two about the EAA construction that's going on with the new reservoir and new STA. It's quite a project that we look forward to opening up to public. So that's going to be a construction route. There's going to be construction and improvements at the north end of A1 FEB in addition to the EAA that ties into that. So that portion will stay closed for a while, but the Southwest Levee, which goes up to about halfway up here to I believe it's the G720 structure, we look to have that open in about a year. I talked to the project manager. I know we were hoping to have it open by now. It's a good area, of course, to access A1 FEB, and there's some good fishing spots there for additional access and up by the structure. But contractors had some pretty major delays, but they reiterated that they think that should be back open in about a year. Okay, jumping up north into Orange County area. This is our Shingle Creek management area. You've all who have attended our meetings before have heard us talk about this. It's popular for hiking and biking, particularly biking. The Sorba volunteer bike group has come to our meetings here and given presentations. Very, very popular. They really do a lot of volunteer work out there too. It seems like every month they're out there cleaning things up, improving the trail, making repairs to any kind of walkways or wooden bridges and so forth. I just want to let everyone know there's going to be what runs through Shingle Creek is a north and south power line. You can see that in the picture there, and a lot of our trails are adjacent to the power lines that's been used for years. The power line company is going to be doing some significant work on the pads. Right now they're starting to bring in equipment and so forth. Hasn't really impacted the use, but come mid-December through mid-January, there's going to be pretty significant closure there of the trails. May have some trail access still available near the Hunters Creek Middle School, but a majority of the access and trails will temporarily be closed. And along with all our closures, if y'all haven't gone on there before, on our district's recreation website, our communication section really keeps us up to date. At the bottom of that main page is a closure section, and you can look for any closures throughout the district that are related to public use. So this will be on there, be a map along with the other closures that I've mentioned before. And there's the website if you want to go there and check that out at the bottom of that page. Another temporary closure, STA 2, this is located in western Palm Beach County off of US 27, and it's popular because what the public does is accesses the bridge off to 27. They follow this line, basically the yellow line, and they get over to Water Conservation Area 2A. There's a lot of good fishing there. There's also access into the conservation area when they go across Sportsman's Crossover. We've had this closed since, I believe, since April, and that's due to two things. One is the S620 construction, which is still taking place down there, but we were able to work around that. But what's taken place the last several months is all the FP&L pads were raised in there. The good thing is I just talked to the project manager last week, and they expect to have that complete any day now. So it could be, even in the next week or two. So then what we'll do is we'll go back to having weekend access. And the reason being is still the S620 construction is going on here down in the southern end. There's a lot of traffic, especially during the week, construction traffic, but they'll work around allowing weekend access again, which is basically following that yellow line and going around the construction. So that look for that to be open real soon, and we'll get up with FWC too to change that on their website too. Okay, going over to the Martin County area. Many of you may be familiar with the Hungry Land management area that FWC really manages most of this as far as the lead. We do the the eastern portion, just east of 7-Eleven there, Henry Road 7-Eleven, we refer to as the northern portion. Sometimes you'll hear it called 9 Gems. And this area down here, the southeast corner, we do a lot of management in there. Unfortunately, one of the access points, and it just happened, and of course at the beginning of the season for the public and the hunting season, just inside the gate, which is a very popular access point because all of this area over here to the east is development, and quite a few people go in there taking horses, taking bicycles, walking, and of course it's a important hunting access too. The site is not closed, but unfortunately we're going to have to wait till the dry season to fix this culvert, and it actually is completely collapsed now, and you've got basically a river running through that trail right now that's available for all the different access I talked about, including vehicular access. So site's still open, but that one gate and trail and access point, we just please ask everyone to not go in there, especially, you know, all the community just to the east of there that's used to riding their bikes and their horses and so forth through there. Going back to, let me just jump back here. Nope, too far, sorry about that. Yeah, right here. We were just talking about this area, then the northeast portion of Hungryland is what we also refer to as 9 Gems. There's a parking lot there that's very popular. We just refurbished that parking lot, put a lot of time and effort to it. It looks great. Matter of fact, Marshall was the one who took the lead on that, and actually he did the whole project himself. And we're really grateful to have him on board. He's been with the land management side of the section for the last 15 plus years. He's come on to the rec side. He can operate just about any piece of equipment, and he can help us with these types of things, improvements to facilities, trails, parking lots, etc. So we just completed that. What I wanted to mention, and you may have seen a sign recently posted there, we've just got a problem that, you know, of course we don't allow off-road vehicles on our properties, but what people are doing is parking here, unloading sometimes several off-highway vehicles, you know, mostly side-by-sides, and then going across the road to access north of Hungryland into what we refer to as the Palmar complex there. So just want to get that word out, please. We, again, just refurbished the parking lot. They've been doing donuts and so forth in there, and we don't want that type of use to take place in that parking lot that was just redone.
Dan,
yeah,
is this an effect of the, I'll be kind, person who acquired a piece of property adjacent to Hungryland and divided it up into little plots and has been selling pieces of land, some of them don't even have good access, for the purpose of riding off-road vehicles and other activities? Is this where these trailers and drop-off is coming from?
Yeah, they're unloading there and then driving across the street. The good thing is now we have it signed. We worked with our law enforcement coordinator and FWC law enforcement. They said as soon as these signs went up, which was only maybe about a month or so ago, the issue has decreased significantly. So, but we just want to get that word out that, you know, we don't want that taking place, and of course, tearing up the parking lot and so forth.
I can tell you, this Hungryland is an incredibly beautiful piece of property, and the place is actually in danger of a large number of people with very small pieces of property purposely bought so they can just have a place to jump off. And I guess I was correct and they're using the parking lot even, not even their own properties. So, sorry, Dan, thank you.
That's okay. Thanks. Okay, and I know Mike Cheeks presented this several times, and this is a good thing, good news. The Corps of Engineers, the contractor they had all along the Kissimmee River, has completed the installation of navigational warning signage. And that basically is located where the riprap, after, as part of the restoration, where the riprap's been installed. And here's a good example. So what you'll see usually is on one side of the riprap, one of these signs, and then on the other side. And just these last couple of weeks with all the heavy rains we had, especially from the Hurricane Milton, this riprap during the wet season will actually go underwater. So it's really good. The signage is now all in place where the riprap exists. So if you see these signs, especially in between them, and the water's high, it's just areas you want to, be aware of and avoid, and get the word out too. The other place the signage was put in along the river, besides the riprap areas, was at the S69 weir, and this is a good shot of it. Particularly these last couple of weeks, there's water been overflowing the weir, just like this picture depicts. So now this signage, you see to the right, is now upstream and downstream of the weir. And upstream, it's about 500 feet. So, and you're on a boat, especially if you're down low, it's and that water's going over the weir. You need to take notice of these signs. In the dry season, some of these signs, just like this one was put in, it may just be dry and grass there, but other times these signs can definitely be in the water. And the good news is that this has all been signed now. And we've signed also the walk-in trail that we have that comes from Lofton Road. We don't want people walking on that weir either, but we're glad to see that that's now complete along the river. Okay, our Lakes and Rivers folks, and I know one of them's online, which I really appreciate. They just wanted me to get the word out about a project they're doing out on Lake Okeechobee. These are just temporary turbidity curtains installed on Lake Okeechobee. And if you see the map here, it's the northwest section. I've got a close-up slide next. And you'll see these buoys, just like in this picture, yellow buoy or booms, and then red buoys. And so they're trying to get the word out what these are, and how to avoid, damaging them too. It's a 1-year deployment at 2 different locations on the map. It's a great study. They're assessing the feasibility of effects on turbidity and submerged aquatic vegetation. This is more of a zoomed in map on the left-hand side. I put the coordinates up there for you so you can pass this on to other users, your clubs, etc., boaters. Just north of Indian Prairie Canal, one on both sides of an area called Tin House Cove. And the picture on the right kind of shows what they're doing. You can see the shape of the booms. And this is a study to see what the effects of putting these out does to turbidity, especially when you've got important SAV in these locations, and how to make improvements, hopefully, in the future to preserve that SAV. So 1-year study at these 2 locations. Please, like I said, take note of the coordinates if you're not familiar with that area. And this is another view of those booms, the curtain and the buoys. And what I'm really asking you is if, you all can pass this on to other boaters and your club members. And it's okay to go around and fish around them, to be near them, but just be aware that those buoys, have an anchor line. We've already had, I think, an individual or 2, no damage to it. They were fine, but they got their prop caught in this line. So this is a great picture here to just show you what that looks like, and just pass this on to others and get the word out. I just threw the slide in here because I wanted to recognize the staff that's really helped, especially the last couple of years and particularly this year with improving the STA hunting access. We've always got points where we know the waterfowl hunters in particular are going to be accessing. So our STA veg management staff actually opened up those trails again. So that way they could get through and out to the open water. We really appreciate that. Here's an example using the Marsh Master. And these are areas that they're good with. The staff is good with providing it enhanced access. And also to the field stations, we've had put signs in just to make it really clear those levees that we don't want the public accessing, and then where you're allowed to go. And, this was a great job and great assistance by the field station using the crane to get those signs in along the boundary and establish that line for us. Good news here, we're going to open up an additional access point and parking area in the Kissimmee River, and it's a pretty easy one, very cost effective. When we're looking at an area along the river on the west side, just about 1.5 miles south of US 98 by the bridge, just off of County Road 721, and there's the railroad. When the Kissimmee River restoration was being completed, they had to adjust the railroad system, actually raise it. And when they did that, they created not only this access road, but a construction staging area right here. It's great for a parking lot. It's good size, probably 2 or 3 times the size of this room, or close to it, maybe twice the size of this room. So we're going to add that as an additional access point to the public use area, the Kissimmee River public use area. It allows a few things. This wooded area here, it allows walk-in access and hunting access there. It allows great fishing. The bridge is right there where the railroad goes over, so it'd be a great place to fish, wildlife viewing, and also, we've been working with the Florida Paddle Trail Association on the Blue Way, and this may be an additional place to stop or put in a canoe or kayak. So look for that to be open over the next few months. We've got to do some gate improvements up here off of the highway, put some parking lot fencing in, some signage and so forth, but it's really great because the parking lot's already there for us, so additional access on the Kissimmee River area. You've probably seen our cruise site located over in Lee and Collier counties. We had a presentation back in March when we were over on the West Coast, but for those of you that maybe weren't able to attend, cruise is a great area. It's got 5 different access points, what we refer to as the crew marsh area up here, gates 1, 3, and 5, and then the southern portion of crew where the restoration took place down here off of Bonita Beach Road, and then Bird Rookery Swamp, which is very popular to the a little bit to the east. We've got camping available up here off of gates, I believe 3 and 5, 2 primitive sites that are very popular. So we're going to add an additional campsite down here in the Flint Penn Strand area. And just to show you kind of a better close-up of that, this is Bonita Beach Road, which is basically right here where the star is for Flint Penn Strand. And there's 3 parking lots actually in there. There's a big one that was construction staging area for the restoration that took place down in Southern Crew. We've also added additional parking area over here by this lake, and one off of here, which we refer to as Harrow Road. And so 3 sites. Just inside that site, you'll be able to walk in, and we'll have a new campsite right here. It's a beautiful spot. It overlooks really nice wetland. We'll install signage, fire ring, picnic tables, and we'll add that to our special use license, so you'll be able to go online. We look to have this open probably by December, the next month and a half or so. And that'll be online. You'll be able to go get a no-cost special use license and go camp in the southern portions of Crew. Okay. This is what our executive director talked about. He had asked me to highlight some of the many key projects that are taking place, some well under construction, some complete, some just about to start. And so I'm going to highlight several that are going to all have additional public access and recreation on them. And we'll go through what these first couple, 2 or 3 here, which are part of the IRL, Indian River Lagoon Restoration Project. C44, C23, 24, which has a few sites, C25, 10 Mile Creek. Talk about opening that very soon, which I mentioned when we were over on the West Coast. The EAA, which is a tremendous project, and then the C43, which is just going to be a gem too. So I'll go through these and a little bit detail and where they're located and what we can expect. You've probably seen me talk about the C44. This is in Martin County, off of Citrus Boulevard, just north to the C44 St. Lucie Canal. It's got a reservoir or a stormwater treatment area that's about 6,300 acres and a reservoir that's about 3,400 acres. And you can see from this picture, this will be coming off of Citrus. We'll have an access road up here that will lead to a future parking area similar to what we've got at the other STAs and access into the STAs. We're also going to build 2 shelters, one that's fairly close to the parking lot, another one that's way out there for those, who like to hike and bike, good distances. It's a beautiful spot to have this shelter way out there. The reservoir will have a future parking lot that's going to be both at the bottom of the outside of the reservoir for parking, and I'll talk a little bit about the facilities that are going to be there, and then parking up top on the levee crest with boat ramp and parking access to the reservoir. So if you weren't aware of it, the construction contract for all these facilities is just went to the October governing board. So that is moving forward. We hope to have completion of that in late 2025, maybe a little over a year from now, maybe early 2026. And I'll just talk about some of the things that will include parking areas with ADA access both to the STA and the reservoir. Just some examples here on the right side, pictures of what some of the facilities that'll be at those access points. Kiosks and interpretive signage, prefab restrooms similar to the ones right here, and probably you've seen at some of our other sites, both at the STA and the reservoir. Shelters, as I mentioned, not only at the parking lots, but on the STA within designated areas along the levee. And of course, the boat ramp access to the reservoir, both parking up top, big parking lot down below, especially for big events or groups coming out or school groups, etc. So it's just a great project that is underway, and we look forward to having all that parking access and to both the STA and reservoir late next year. We've already got activities going on out there. Of course, we don't have the parking access and the facilities and restrooms and so forth. Audubon is already scheduling tours out there. They've done a couple, and now as the birding season kicks in, they'll have more, and you can go to Martin County's Audubon website and look at their schedule that'll be taking place this year on the STA. This year we'll be reviewing particularly the STA for potential waterfowl and alligator hunts for next season. Once those parking lots are complete, that'll allow for, just like at our other STAs that are open, for regular extended weekend use, which is usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, for daytime use to hiking, biking, wildlife viewing, photography, etc. So that's something in the works and really going to be a great thing to look forward to in that area. Okay, now we're going to talk about some of the other IRL. Go ahead.
Dan, I was just looking at them. You're about halfway through, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is so long. We perhaps ought to split this, and up to this point, give people an opportunity to make a comment or ask you a question on what you've covered so far. Is that okay?
Oh, sure.
And then we'll finish up at the end and do it one more time.
Yep, that sounds great.
I know I have questions too, and I know people out there do. Okay. Yes, sir.
Matt Nelson, FSCA. As always, thank you, Dan. Everything, all the work that you guys do for, allowing the public access. So that extra access point there, right there, going into the river is great. I would like to bring up and ask if, now that the Army Corps has wrapped up that project, the signage project, that parking lot, that staging area that they use there on 98, if there's any option for an airboat, parking and unloading area, that would be phenomenal. In years past, airboaters used right across the street from there, and we're not allowed to do that anymore. So it has 4Es and Istapoga and Miko have really bore the burden of that. So if there's any option of doing something there, I'd love for us to, anything we could do or, to look into that, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And we've already been talking, Justin and I and Mike and others about that. It'd be a great access point. I think it'd be, especially for airboating. So yeah, now that they're all done and out of there, we'll look at that this year. Sounds good.
Anyone else? Bishop?
Dan, the parking thing in Hungerland with the trailer parking and the ATVs crossing the road. I brought this up at one meeting a while back and like to bring it back up again just to, I haven't heard from any landowners, but there's one here. But I just want to make sure that we're patrolling that heavy and making sure people that go past that yellow gate do have the right credentials and the right proper permit to do that. Because I would like to think that anybody that owns a piece of property over there wouldn't be parking at Hungerland because they know the rules and they wouldn't want to jeopardize their access. So I wouldn't want them to get the blame of those who basically are just breaking the rules and really could care less about the access or the land or the value of that opportunity some have and some don't have. And it is a privilege to have that opportunity, and I'd like to make sure that is patrolled and kind of looked over after that access to that gate. I just want to emphasize on that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Bishop. Anyone else around the table here? Yes, sir.
Richard Martinez of Florida BHA. Just wanted to thank you so much for how quick those areas opened up after the storms. I know, there are guys who waited years to hunt some of those quota hunts, so I know that a lot of people are really looking forward to those hunts. Just had a question going back to Hungryland, the Gate 9 off Old Indian Town. You said probably the dry season. Do you have a better idea of like when that project would start?
Yeah, it's certainly on the top of our list to get done. But Justin, maybe you have an idea of when you think we'd be looking at to getting that culvert. There's a lot of water in there right now, a lot.
Yeah, we'll be looking at, probably getting started in January, February, letting it dry up, and then, turkey season might have something dropped in there.
Okay, anyone else? Yes.
Steve Knoyer, Florida Paddle Trails Association. Dan, I was wondering, you mentioned about a canoe and kayak launch area along the railway crossing there where the parking lot already is established. Is that something that's definitely going in, or is that just a possibility in the future?
Yeah, I think right now it's a possibility. We've got to look at, we got to look at the slopes there,
They're bad.
erosion and stuff that's taking place there. Of course, ever since the restoration, things are changing, the way things flow. I think it'll always be stable there because just because of the railroad, they're going to want to make that stable. So we need to take a closer look at that.
Okay.
But it would be great. It really
Yeah, it
would.
is.
It'd be
It's
a great
really- it
parking
is-
area and place to launch. So
It is really steep there.
Yeah.
When we went by there last time, we were looking at it, thinking maybe we can get out here somewhere, but there wasn't anywhere to get out.
Yeah. So we'll take a look at it and see
Okay.
if there's a way to make improvements to that to provide that access and or a place to rest, and get out and get in your car or whatever. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, anyone else in the room before we go to Zoom? Okay, anyone at Zoom?
Yeah, we have Mike Elfenbein. Mr. Elfenbein, please unmute your mic.
Hey guys. Hey Drew. I got you on the big screen. I'm not watching you on the phone, so you look normal sized. Thank you guys. That presentation was awesome. I just wanted to thank you guys and reiterate how incredibly excited we are as sportsmen to have all these opportunities, specifically Miami-Dade County, having grown up down there and knowing how valuable and precious the little bit of green space that's left is to all of us. Hopefully we can contribute to creating some more people that really love and appreciate these areas. I love the opportunity you all created at Kissimmee River. I think that's great that you took advantage of something that you had to do and made it something that you didn't have to do. So continue to be impressed by the district, your staff, and your concern and consideration for sportsmen and other recreational activities in the district's lands. It definitely solidifies your commitment to us. And I'm always quick to criticize, so I didn't want to miss the opportunity to pat you on the back and say, job well done. So thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else?
We have no raised hands.
Thank you. And I just wanted to compliment on the Rocky Glades. Here you have a piece of property that's jammed up against 7 million people, and it offers an incredible opportunity. Yeah, it offers an incredible opportunity for the urban dwellers. I mean, a lot of us would like to have quiet and solitude and never see anyone else in the woods. But the fact of the matter is, you know, Corbett is one example. Up here, down there, the Rocky Glades is just jammed right up against all these people, and it gives people an opportunity, you know, to actually get out of that urban concrete. And it's right there. It's literally Uber ride, you know, for a lot of people. And it's very much appreciated. And I know not a lot of people down there watch this, even on Zoom, but they should realize that the district, that's a big thing, that double a piece of property like that in that particular area, because it's very difficult to keep the place clean and safe. The district really has to work at that in those type of properties, and so it's appreciated very much. All right, Dan, I think we can let you continue now.
Okay. Yeah, and feel free to stop me, Newton, if there's something you want to bring up, because there is a lot here. Okay. So moving on to another project, this has got a lot going on it too. Another IRL project is the C23, 24 North and South Reservoirs and STA, located in St. Lucie County, just off of Highway 70 there. This will have similar public use activities and facilities to other projects, and a good example is what we're just working on right now for the C44. So what you've got north of the highway there is the North Reservoir, a little over 2,000 acres. That contract for to construct the reservoir is just awarded in September 24. It's about a 7-year project that will have public use there, both parking down below, parking and boat ramp access, restrooms, kiosks, signage, shelter, etc. And just to the east of that is the STA, which is under construction, should be complete by about a year from now. That too will have similar facilities to the C44 STA, a parking area, restrooms, kiosks, shelters, and so we'll be looking for that to come up, next year. And down south, we've got a South Reservoir, a little over 3,500 acres. That contract was awarded in April. That's about a 6-year contract. And again, we'll have similar facilities and access as we do on the North Reservoir. So there's going to be a lot of great new public access and recreation in this area of St. Lucie County. Same type of weekend use, hiking, biking, wildlife viewing, photography. Probably have Audubon tours along the STAs scheduled. And then, of course, the reservoirs will open up additional access for fishing and boating, and then hunting in the STA. So that's the C23, 24 North and South Reservoirs and STA. another IRL project, C25 Reservoir, which is just in the northern portions of St. Lucie County, just south of the Turnpike. Again, will provide similar access to what I just mentioned. A little bit smaller. The acreage I have there is basically the water acreage, a little, approximately 110 acres of reservoir water, STA a little over 500. The site itself is a little over 1,500 acres when you start including the levees for public access. Again, we'll have a parking lot at the STA with restrooms, kiosks, shelter. We're also going to put a shelter out on the STA for those hikers and bikers that want to use that, or the Audubon birding tours. The reservoir will have a parking down below at the grade just outside the reservoir, and then a boat ramp and parking access up top. And construction completion estimated right now is 2028. So another great project in a northern portion of St. Lucie County, C25 Reservoir and STA. Talked a little bit about this when we had our meeting in March on the West Coast, and we're going to open this up very soon. 10 Mile Creek Water Preserve Area has a reservoir and an STA. Reservoir is a little over 500 acres. The STA is a little over 130 acres. Have the same type of access, similar to the STA access that I talked about. This one's a little bit different. We're going to utilize, and this was always the plan, we've got a parking area that's already established at the Gordy Road Recreation Area that St. Lucie manages, and it's a very popular park. It's been open for several years. There's Frisbee golf layout in there that's super popular. There's trails. And so that parking lot is already there for us, and the idea is you'd be able to park in there, walk down the levee a little bit, and cross over into the STA, hike, bike. Wildlife viewing, fishing. We're going to allow fishing, both the STA and the reservoir. So we're going to look to bring this to we need to go to the governing board, probably the December meeting, so the governing board can approve the designation for the public access there, and hopefully have this opened possibly before the end of this year. All right, another very big project that's look forward to just to the west of the A1 FEB. This is the EAA Reservoir and STA in western Palm Beach County, just off of US 27. Probably a lot of you have been out to the 16,000 acres of the A1 FEB, which is very popular. I talked about earlier, for all types of use, particularly fishing. So this is under construction. And we've got two things going on here, the reservoir itself, and this is kind of the access that'll be at the reservoir. We're envisioning, getting access over to here. This will be a parking lot, both at grade and on the levee for boat ramp access, shelter, picnic tables, toilets, informational kiosks, pedestrian gate, and a bike rack. This is a good sized reservoir here, 10,000 acres. We've also got a small shelter that'll be just outside the levee for stopping and resting, whether you're hiking or biking. So that's the reservoir. And then we've got the STA too. So it's going to be quite a popular area, having the A1 FEB, the A2 reservoir, and the A2 West STA. That'll have a parking lot too, shelter, picnic tables, toilets, informational kiosks, pedestrian gate, and bike rack, similar to some of the facilities we'd have currently at STA. And that's a pretty good size STA too, 6,500. So between the two of them, you've got a lot of acreage there, 10,000 acre reservoir. And over a 6,500 acre STA, including the 16,000 acres that we have currently open for the A1 FEB. All right, and this is quite the project too that's going to have a lot of public use on it. is the C43 reservoir. Located in Henry County, and this is a very large reservoir, 10,500 acre reservoir. It'll provide, very unique because it's going to provide a lot of public access, of course, into the reservoir, but it's also got a lot of public access available outside the reservoir. So there'll be hiking and biking and wildlife viewing and photography and all the things I've talked about earlier. It's some of the project sites, boating, including canoeing, kayaking, similar to the other reservoirs, fishing. And this one will also have equestrian use. So I'm going to go through this next slide, which has quite a lot on it, to just talk about some of the activities and facilities and things that'll be at this reservoir. Before I go through that, just, the testing, there's a couple years of testing for the reservoir that needs to take place for all the reservoirs. That's to start in 2025, recreation features to be built in late 2026, hopefully open for the public by 2029, maybe earlier, depending on how things go. So we're great site. And I'll just kind of go through from north to south what this site's going to have. It's going to have outside the reservoir a public parking area, just like we've got at some of the other reservoirs with restroom and kiosks. But it'll also have quite a few facilities on the top of the levee, 2 ramps into both cells of the reservoir here, 2 restrooms, information kiosks, shelters. Then outside the reservoir, there'll also be an equestrian area, which is unique. We're going to have parking there for equestrian trailers, restroom, kiosks, paddocks, horse wash down area. So that's very unique, something to look forward to. There's also a canoe kayak launch area and parking area too outside that. You've got shelters and kiosks located along that route. So not only will be activities, within the reservoir on top, but there'll also be a hiking and biking, and particularly equestrian trail along the perimeter maintenance road of the entire reservoir, which is, approximately 12 miles. We know there's a lot of equestrian users out there, so that's going to be a great, really great site with a lot of access, a lot of recreation. Really great asset for that area. Okay, now I'm just going to jump. That was some of the upcoming projects that our executive director wanted me to highlight. There's more coming too in addition to that, but those are some of the real gems that are on their way. We mentioned this, that over the next few years, we've got a lot of facilities out there that have been out there for years. Or we need to make improvements, so we're going to be doing that for the next couple years. And just to give you some of the examples, it includes boardwalks. This is one example here. There's a really nice boardwalk out in Dupuy. We call it the Dupuy Cypress Boardwalk. It's also got an overlook, which overlooks a big cypress head there. And that needs to be fully replaced. So we hope to go into design this year and look forward to replacing that the following year. Restrooms, installing new restrooms or restrooms that have expanded, have exceeded their lifespan. Camping area improvements, fishing pier access, especially down south. In Southern Glades, we've got 4 fishing piers that we want to refurbish. Boat ramp access. And then parking area improvements, including kiosk signage and just the improvements to the parking area. An example was 9 Gems that Marshall took the lead on. I'm just going to highlight a couple that are really big. This is a big one. This is a really popular site in Crew, the Bird Rookery Swamp. It gets about 35 to 40,000 people a year, just the one parking area. There's a lot of hiking and biking access along this 12-mile tram road. To get to that tram road, you've got to go on a boardwalk that's about 1,400 feet. We've got this out for bid, actually, currently, is to replace the entire boardwalk. So it's a design build. The company will actually do the design and the build part of it. So we hope that construction to replace the boardwalk is projected to start this time next fall. So we'll have a closure period, but we need to replace that, and that's just a great project that's in the works. Very popular area. Along with refurbishing the parking lots, we've got a lot of kiosks out there with interpretive information on them, maps, things about the wildlife, and here's a great example. Our communications department just recently redid a kiosk panel that we're going to have made, and we're looking to redo this throughout the district to have really good informational kiosks, especially for the public who's never been on an STA. What is an STA, for example? A really good trail map that shows points of interest, the mileage, et cetera, and what you may see out there. So we look to do this throughout the district. Big project, but it's important to have really good information, and particularly maps at these trailheads and parking lots. Okay, and I think this is one of my last subjects, and I know the gentleman over there brought it up. So we had a field visit, a fairly large one, a pretty extensive. We've heard again and again, access to Water Conservation Area 2B. Down here. And we spent a day, quite a few staff, going around the entire conservation area looking to where we could build parking area, boat ramp access, good access off the road, the highways. So we spent the day. The arrow up here, is where the Sawgrass Recreational area is. We went to the S43 down here, which has been brought up a few times. We even looked at Markham Park, and we went up to the S38 here off Sawgrass Expressway. The one thing that came up with all of them is the constraints and the amount of money and the amount of that it would take to just get the on-off highway improvements, especially for this S43, S34E, would take substantial improvements on and off the highway. The levee would have to be expanded. The parking area we'd have to build because we've got to build safe access off the road, safe parking areas. I know a lot of you can work with just about anything, but we still have to do that. Given that those constraints and the amount of money it would take right now, and this was actually an idea by our division director, Mr. Virgil, is to build a crossover, an airboat ramp crossover along this levee. There's plenty of access into 2A, boat ramp access, and build a crossover and we've, St. John's has certainly done this several times, and we've got a couple examples. And this is in the very early stages. I just want to let you all know, this isn't a slam dunk. We need to, this is a federal levy. We need to get with the Corps. We're in that process right now, and to see if that can be done to build that airboat ramp crossover. Here's a more close-up location where this would be. There's the Sawgrass Recreation Area. Just to the northeast of this, outside of the park, is where this crossover potentially would go. Here's an example that we built up. It's quite different, but similar to what we did up in Kissimmee Chain of Lakes in the Gardner Marsh area. We have two of these airboat ramp crossovers that were built probably a little over 10 years ago plus, and they've worked out really well. And St. John's has some examples too. So that's what we're looking to do, is to build an airboat ramp crossover so that, and we feel like if we can do it, and like I said, we've got some work to do and coordination with the Corps to be able to do that. And that's where we're at with that, and I hope that will be something good that we can do to provide access down there. And that is it. Any questions, comments? Thanks. I know that was a lot, but I appreciate any comments or questions.
Okay, Dan, thank you. Second time around. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you for looking into that. If the Airboat Club can help with anything, let us know.
Okay.
Anyone else, Bishop?
Thanks, everybody, staff and all that, looking into the airboat thing in Area 2. Really do appreciate it. We really would like to get access back to that. And I'm grateful to be an airboater, but it doesn't really satisfy the other surface drives and those duck boats, but that's, but at least we got something back, and we're grateful for that too. And in your first presentation too, Dan, I just want to say, looking forward to getting to go back to the Sportsman's Crossing too. Looking forward to that. Actually was down there alligator hunting last weekend, was kind of checking some of that out over there from SDA too, from the access that I had, which I wasn't complete access, but I did write down and look at that construction site to see how far along they were. But glad to see we're going to get back into that, and that's not gone unnoted. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. Anyone else in the room? Yes, Fred?
I'm Fred Davis, Loxa, Florida Trail Association. Drew, you probably don't know me, but I was a director of land stewardship. When I was the director of land stewardship, we had one toilet out at Dupuy, and I hated it. I'm sitting here wondering, what is your toilet paper budget with all of the restrooms that you want to put in? It's phenomenal, the investment that the South Florida Water Management District is making into public use and public access. It's just phenomenal. And I know future generations are going to thank you. So, and I will thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, the basic things are very important, Fred. Yeah, go ahead, Bishop.
I'd just like to say, Fred, that, when you give access and you allow people into use the area and they learn to love it and cherish it, they fight harder for the funding for it. And I want to really thank the staff who has come a long, long ways on giving us access, because that's really letting the people enjoy it, letting the people get out there, and especially in the COVID times and things like that, being able to touch bases with Mother Nature. And I'd like to say there's a lot more of that today, and mostly because there's access to it. And that's really what I want to thank you all.
Okay, anyone else here? We'll go to Zoom with them.
Yes, we have Danny Brantley, followed by John Monty. Mr. Brantley, please unmute your mic.
We can't hear you, Danny.
All right, John Monty, please unmute
Can you hear me
your
now?
mic.
Yep.
Yes, we
Can you
hear
hear me
you.
now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. These newfangled things, I don't work real well. I'm too old. But the 9 picnic tables that Water Management gave us the other day that we have already taken out to the pavilion at Miles's Point, we want to thank Water Management for providing them. I promise you, no 2 or 3 people will ever steal one of them things. It took 4 of us to get them off the trailer. They were really well built and heavy. Thank goodness I carried a lot of people with me, because I could have never done it. 2 things. Dan, you forgot to tell everybody we're having a field trip tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I know. Our staff knows. Believe me, we're going to be out there at 10 a.m. to look at rolling meadows. It's been a while for me, and there'll be some new areas for a few of us too.
Great. Well, I appreciate, Drew, you setting that up for us, several months ago, and we're going to get around there and maybe put this thing to bed after 10 years. But I just want to thank Water Management for all they do for us. We know that there's some fire rings that are also coming out there. There's a big event at Miles's Point on November the 9th. It was canceled because of the hurricane, but the KRVSA Club has rescheduled it, and it will be November 9th, Saturday, and there'll be a lot of people out there utilizing Water Management property. Thank y'all.
Sounds good, Danny. Hey, when you're all out there doing that, installing tables, fire rings, take pictures and send them to me, as I always like to highlight that.
Cool. I can do that. I got your number.
Thank you. Mr. Monty, please unmute your mic.
Yeah, thanks for a great presentation. I'd just like to mention a couple of things if I could. When it comes to the STAs and making those access points, I saw those firsthand at STA 3-4, and I think they look great. I appreciate it.
Great.
When it comes to the conservation area 2B boat ramp, I kind of mimic what was mentioned with we're leaving out a lot of stakeholders, and that being the mud boats and the John boats. Also, I think one thing you need to look into is the amount of pressure this will put on the other boat ramps that currently have hardly any parking now, especially at the Stub Canal. Especially if these private airboat tours continue to use these public boat ramps like they are. Sunday morning at 10:30, I tried to launch my airboat at the Stub Canal, and there was no parking. So if we make this access point, there's going to be an additional load on using the boat ramps, and I feel that may be an issue. Just something to keep in mind.
Okay. Noted.
Mr. Cook, we don't have any raised hands.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dan, for a great presentation. We just have another Zoom.
Mike Elfenbein, please unmute your mic. Mr. Elfenbein, we can't hear you.
There, I got it. You there? I
Yes,
think
we
I
hear
got
you.
ahead in the middle of Dan's presentation. Are we on final public comment, or are we still on agenda item public comment?
You can do either one you want, Mike. This is the next to last item, and we'll count it either way.
All right, I'll go with that. Thank you, Newton. So, really great presentation. There's a couple of things I wanted to cover. One, if I could visit back with you again, Drew, we discussed after governing board, the US 41 Western Everglades culvert features and ensuring that they don't restrict access with miles of fencing. I know you're busy, so I figured I'd reiterate it. There's a couple of meetings coming up that everybody in the room should be aware of. November 6th in Clewiston and November 7th in Okeechobee. The one in Okeechobee is at Scott Driver. The one in Clewiston is at John Boy. They're both from 6 to 8. The legislature has directed FGCU to conduct a study on Lake Okeechobee. The results of that study will go back to the legislature for them to use to decide future management goals and objectives of the lake. I want to encourage everyone to be at one of those two meetings or both. I want to encourage everyone to provide public comments at both of those meetings, either in person or written. I've posted some of that stuff on Facebook. You all should find it. I also want to encourage you all. This is a good opportunity to encourage the state to pursue some of the alternative nutrient reduction projects that we have done successfully with FWC and the Water Management District. It's important that the legislature know that there are opportunities and alternatives, and that the aquaculture project was one that we all found to be successful. Also, we have 8 days until the election. I cannot wait for this to be over. I never thought that I would say that, but there is an opportunity to further recreation in the state of Florida and to ensure that those contributions that we make to conservation are furthered in perpetuity, and that will be reflected in Amendment 2 on your ballot. And I encourage everyone as a sportsman to vote yes on that. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me directly. And I just want to say in general, thank you to the district, to staff, and to all of my peers that made it there tonight. I'm sorry I couldn't be sitting in the room with you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else?
No, Mr. Cook.
Okay, thank you. Mike's mention of the two meetings on the lake. I am not surprised that finally they woke up somewhere up the line and decided that Lake Okeechobee should actually have someone meeting and discussing about what can be done to bring Okeechobee back to the health that it had before Bassmasters took away the top 10 ranking for bass fishing in North America. And I don't think I have to tell you, I've been screaming for a Lake Okeechobee recovery task force. And this is basically a step in that direction. And if we cannot get the heart of the Everglades, Lake Okeechobee, back to good health, then everything we do, north, east, south, and west, is wasted. Because if the lake is throwing out the dirty water that's in there today, we'll never be able to clean it with all the SDAs and all the reservoirs. And this is just a step. And I definitely will be at one of the meetings. I'd like to go to the two. So I encourage everyone to give these people their support to start this project and begin to look at Lake Okeechobee. We look at the park. We look at the Central Everglades. We look at the WCAs. We look at the STAs. We look at the St. Lucie. We look at the Tallahassee. We look at the Kissimmee. And yet right there in the middle of all of it, the heart of it, not a single work group, not a single task force has the challenge of what can we do about Lake Okeechobee. So thank you, Mike, for bringing that up. It gave me a chance to give my little diatribe. Okay, we're at the last point of the meeting, and that's where we take one more shot around the table and on Zoom. And on this particular round, anything that you might like to see on a future meeting, please let us know. This is the time, subject. And if you have any closing comments, this is the time. So we'll start to the left again. Gentlemen, anyone there? Thank you.
Kyle Archecki, the Broward Airboat Club. I wanted to bring up the camping situation around the S8 pump house. Obviously, the last few years haven't been much need for camping with all the high water, but hopefully sometime in the future we'll be able to hunt out there again. And we need that camping area open. At least close up the area that's closed, keep it closer to the pump house itself, and that spread out area, get it back open to camping.
So I see the pencils moving.
What we're trying to really actually do in that location is find alternate spots within the region for camping, like at Harold Campbell. Try to see if we can do something to open up there. Keep in mind that pump station right now, even the smaller one, the 404 pump station, is under a refurbishment. The main pump station is going to be under a major refurbishment here coming up, as well as all of the earthwork and stuff that's going to go on in that area. So it's going to take it off the table for an extended period. So I think the safer option would be to find an alternative for that, whether it be Harold Campbell. One of the things I was wondering about, and I haven't gotten an answer, was there's all those finger pads for the FP&L poles that run up through there. And years ago, when I used to go out there for work, during hunting season stuff, there'd always be campers and stuff parked on those. I was wondering is that prohibited now by FP&L, or do you know anything?
Still camping there too. I mean, on busy years, every power pole's full, and all around that pump house is full.
Yeah. Well, the only time we were really seeing any camping around the pump house was during that Mudfuss weekend period that was taking place. I don't know that there was any other parking or camping on a regular basis at the pump station.
Historically, literally, my family has camped there since the 70s during hunting season.
We're going to look into additional alternate areas because it's really going to be really encumbered. Yeah.
And I don't know if you all remember the Greg Nolte, district staff project manager, and he's going to give an update in March, about that L4 and L5 construction. So I've asked him, and he's receptive to making it part of the project. They're going to have so much fill material to actually see if we can build some pads, some camping areas, in addition to what Rich said, looking at Harold Campbell and et cetera, but see if we can come up with some new areas along that.
Well done. Yes, sir.
Matt Nelson, FSCA. Two things. One, Dan, you were talking about rehabbing boat ramps and whatnot. We had talked in the past about the Istapoga boat ramp with the wood and everything for that airboat launch. And we would like to put together a project to go in there and remove all that. It would be sometime in the beginning of the year that we could put a work day together. But if that still aligns with something you guys are thinking about doing, you know, a few man hours, if y'all provided a dumpster, I mean, we could remove it, cut the bolts and whatnot off.
Okay. And I can talk to you afterwards, Matt. We're still thinking of leaving the concrete footers and bolts and just getting rid of the old wood and putting a better quality wood material there. But, and we were thinking of contracting that out, but if that's something you really feel like you all could do, we can go out there and take a look at that. Okay, it'd be a great project.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as removing it, 100% in our, you know, ballpark. If you're just gonna put dirt and some sod over it, then y'all do that. But if you want to go back with some type of a material, that may need to be contracted.
Okay, sounds good. Maybe you could all help with the removal part of that, and we can help supply, you know, a dumpster and things that are needed. All right, I'll get up with you, man.
Perfect. Secondly is a few years back, there was an issue in the Corbett area where buggy users were no longer allowed to access the L8 canal. You know, recreators in the Corbett that use buggies would get up on the canal to fish and whatnot. I know Cheyenne and Tom's not here, but when we asked about it, we were told that kind of came from the district, but then we've asked at the district and said it really didn't come from here. So I'm wondering if whoever would be the contact person here could initiate a conversation with FWC so that we could get to the bottom of that and see if we can get recreational access back to that levee during hunting season with the use of swamp buggies.
Anyone want to answer that one?
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with that. I know Steve was Coughlin who retired, but we can get up with Tom Reinhardt and some of the folks from FWC and talk about it, okay?
Perfect, that'd be great. We'd just like to have some kind of a solid answer and see if we can get that access back.
Okay, excellent, well done.
I'm not sure how long ago that was taking place, but there's truly, you know, we'll have to talk it out and see what kind of access you're talking about, because just in general, there's no motorized vehicle access to any of these levees within those areas that I knew of, right?
There's vehicle access to it still to this day, but it's specifically removed swamp buggies from accessing it. So you can take your buggy all the way to there, and then you got to get off and walk, or, you know,
Right.
and then, but if you have a street legal vehicle, you can drive it all day.
Excellent. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Jamie with LOAA. Great presentation by you, Dan, and Newton, all the water management staff. Thank y'all very much for what y'all do. Estapoca thing, our club would be interested about helping out also. And I would really like to see Hungry Land out there about what you was talking about trying to figure out how to go about accessing with the SUVs, you know, controlling it better, should I say.
Okay, thank you. The pencils are moving. Anyone else as we go around? Bishop?
You know I wasn't going to miss this opportunity. I have two things. First, I'm just going to hit it again because it kind of was hit it again, but I think this, have we had any more discussion on airboat tours using public boat ramps? I'm going to ask that question every time I come here. But I'd like to get maybe somewhere, if y'all needed guidance or whatever, maybe we need to visit with some of the St. John's folks again and go over that. They got a pretty good plan that works well, and I'd like to see y'all. This subject is not going to go away, and every time we get here, there's 2 or 3 more new airboat tour companies, and they're using public ramps, your ramps, our ramps, mostly our ramps, to do a business out of. And we got to get a handle on this, guys, before it gets out of hand. And hold on to that thought for 1 minute, Drew. Bigger subject than that for me is where are we at with this scenic Kissimmee River that was all of a sudden all in the limelight. I don't like when something goes dormant and we're not talking about it anymore, because that means somebody's making progress without us, in my opinion. So those are my two concerns.
Bishop, just to go back to your second question, you mean the Blue Way paddling trail for Kissimmee River?
No, oh no, bigger than that.
I know what you're talking about.
Someone who wants to make our river a scenic river, and I don't see the value of that, and I don't see where we're going to gain anything from that, but I see a whole lot of potentials of losing a lot for that. Seen it too many times.
Bishop, so if you don't mind, what would be useful for me on the public ramps, airboat tours? I have a feeling you're talking about specific ones. I don't know which ones those are, so if you could just let me know which ones those are at some point that is causing this concern to repeat itself.
Yeah, I'll generate a list. I'll get with everybody else, and I would be glad to do that.
All right, appreciate it. And then we, as that discussion sort of bubbled, we engaged with the Park Service and told them we were not interested in that designation. And they were kind of depending on us to facilitate for that designation, but we told them we weren't interested in that either. And so that's when it went dark, right? And so I'm not sure what's going on for that conversation. They do have to, and they are required to have public conversations and publicly vet it. So I'm not sure what's going on inside the National Park Service with respect to that study that was authorized. But when we expressed that we were not interested in the designation, I don't know why it kind of stopped there.
Well, I applaud y'all for that, but I don't look at them to be going away. So we'll have to go to another avenue.
Well, it's in Congress passed a law that said do a study. So as long as that's out there, it's going to be hanging. So.
Okay, yeah, on that particular subject, all right. Coming around, anyone else here on this slide? Yes, sir, young man.
Andrew Burnett with the Florida Youth Hunting Program. I just want to tag on to what Bishop was saying. I didn't want to open this can of worms unless somebody else did. The tour boat issue in Area 2 is absolutely a problem, especially during the peak of the season with boat ramps. At one point in Locks Road, there was 8 or 10 of those boats, and you think of those maybe 2-3 cars per boat, and it ties up the ramp big time for everybody. So I can only imagine the problems with all the other ramps in Area 2.
Good point. I'm sure people are concerned about it as well. Coming around, anyone else? Okay, on Zoom, Wilden?
Yes, we have John Monty. Mr. Monty, please unmute your mic.
Yeah, I guess I can address this to you, Dan. It's I don't know if you read my email this morning, reference to the FEB, and I know you did a couple presentations on it. As you know, FWC gives out over 3,000 waterfowl permits during waterfowl season in the FEB. I was out there this past Saturday because I was told that everything was sprayed and all the SAV has disappeared. I launched the boat in there. I was out there probably 6-8 hours. It appears half of the FEB and everything above the water line was dead, sprayed. And last year there was probably a few thousand acres, maybe, of hydrilla. What I saw Saturday was 0. I mean, if FWC is gonna issue over 3,000 permits in the area for duck hunters, I don't understand why the area is sprayed.
Hey, John, this is Rory Feeney.
Yeah, I understand your frustration. I get it. And some of the people are coming from long distances to enjoy the A1 FEB for that reason of waterfowl hunting. But I can tell you that we're not actively managing or controlling hydrilla in the FEB. We need to manage the other floating aquatics, particularly an invasive exotic called Nymphoides cristata. It's floating crested heart. Those FAV can crowd out the submerged aquatics, the ones that we're trying to promote. So it's a complex system out there, as you know, and on the northern end, it's deeper. A lot of the water comes in from the north, so it's very turbid, deeper water. And we're having our challenges, but we're trying to control that FAV, the floating aquatic vegetation, so you can have a healthy submerged aquatic vegetation habitat. So we understand your concerns, but we're not actively controlling or managing the hydrilla in the FEB.
Okay, I mean, for the last few years, I don't see any changes in water levels, water temperature, clarity, and the hydrilla seems just to disappear. And that's not just on the north end. That's all the way working to the south end. I mean, we're talking thousands of acres. It's just gone, and there's evidence of spraying. I know it goes back and forth, you know, with FWC. They say they don't spray the hydrilla, but yet they spray the hyacinths, which in turn kills the hydrilla. So maybe I don't know. I'm not a professional, but maybe spraying that weed you're talking about also allows a chemical to get in the water and kill the hydrilla and all the SAV. I mean, the water turned brown. It almost looks like the Lake Okeechobee now. I don't see any evidence of it returning in some of the areas. I don't know if that's something you guys are worried about or not.
Well, we're monitoring that, and I am getting reports that there is some portions of the central and southern FEB that does have hydrilla. I'm hearing from you that that's not the case, but I definitely welcome a site visit and to get into a deeper dive with my staff so we can try to manage this a little more effectively for the beneficial use of the waterfowl hunters.
I appreciate it. I mean, and maybe even adjust the spray schedule so it doesn't happen just before waterfowl season. I want to say I didn't see, like I said, I spent 7-8 hours in there. I went from one levee to the other. I don't think I saw more than 30 acres of hydrilla. And the hydrilla I did see had algae on it, and it looked like it was dying.
Well, I'll certainly look into that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. SCA 34, is it not the best acting working SCA we have? Do you know why it's the best working SCA we have? Because FEB1. You know why FEB1 makes SCA 34 the best working SCA we have? Because he used to have hydrilla. For the life of me, in this state, I'll never understand. And we want to have clean water, and we kill the very plant to merge aquatic vegetation that cleans the water. It's exasperating. They did it in Lake Okeechobee purposely. That's what's so sad. All you have to do is raise water up a couple of feet and it'll kill the hydrilla, and it won't come back because the cup water is so cloudy it can't sprout until it goes down almost dry. And it's not this water management district that I have the most trouble with. Right now, St. John's River Water Management District is spraying out Lake Apopka. Lake Apopka, which was a mud hole 15 years ago and was cleaned up by hydrilla. And now they're spraying it out and planting eelgrass. 121 acres of eelgrass they're planting with $2 million, and they're spraying out 6,000 acres of hydrilla. And they wonder why the turbidity of the lake has gone to hell. This is water management districts, and we're killing the very vegetation that cleans the water. Now, mind you, I am not against spraying. We have to have some. If you don't spray, I've been to tropical countries. If you don't spray, you fly over them, you can't tell there's any lakes down there because there's 3 foot of water hyacinth piled up But something has got to be done about the spraying and the purposefully killing the very plants that are cleaning the water in this state, and that's the SAV. My final rant. Okay, anybody else?
We have no raised hands
All right.
on Zoom.
Anyone else here have any final comments? I just want to close this meeting early. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It's been a stressful time for a lot of people. I can tell you the staff at this water management district has done an incredible job, just incredible. And if you've ever seen this place work during a hurricane and during a storm, then you're just in awe of what these people do. They have to take care of water from Orlando all the way to the Tamiami Trail. Water that's moving and coming out of the skies at incredible rates. And I just don't think people realize how much hard work and smart work has to go on here during like the last two storms we have, and we all should appreciate it. And Drew, would you like to have any final comments?
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate everyone coming and sharing. You know, obviously, I take notes and follow up with staff on a lot of these things. So it's a good forum for me. And I appreciate your perspective. I didn't know it in, the evolution of recreation here at the Water Management District, but we, for so many reasons, find a lot of value in providing that access because it is a great feedback loop that perpetuates our ability to restore our ecosystems and protect our environment. So it's all very cohesive, having access and providing protection for natural resources. So it all works together very well. Newton, I've got great staff, you're right. They really take care of these lands. And funny story, the last Hurricane Milton that went by, so we did lock down that night, but we were gonna lock down at 9 p.m., right? Because we weren't gonna see tropical storm force winds until after midnight. So everyone went home, planning to come back to lock down, but between going home and coming back, a bunch of tornadoes showed up. And so getting back was a little bit of a challenge for some folks, but we learn from every hurricane and we figure out procedures going forward. Tornadoes seems like a new thing for us to plan for lockdown. But yeah, we got great folks that really, and a lot of them are right here at this table that locked down with us. So it's great. And thank you, Newton, for bringing us together and having this discussion.
Thank you, Drew. And we're a little early, but the meeting is adjourned.